YouTube, what it do, loved ones? You know the motto, if you can, after the story, go over there, hit me with a like, which is a thumbs up, and that'll let me know I'm kicking my stuff. This right here, the young homeboy asked me, he said, dog, we understand how legendary the banging on wax music was to the beat all culture. And we knew how monumental the homie was to the city. But just as us being from a different generation than y'all and didn't get a chance to participate like a real young soldier kind of participated at that time. We know you got a legendary gangster story that you can kick about OYGG Big Wad from the banging on wax era, homie. And if so, can you send it? So I said, homie, I dug in my mental archive, homie. And this what I came up with, homie. At this time, homie, in the early 90s, banging on wax era forming, it wasn't no social media. So we all kind of like functioned together, homie. You know, you had homies that stayed in each other's turfs, homie. And at this time, in my turf, the street was eucalyptus. But at the beginning of the homie forming, from my knowledge, homie, on what I know, the homie was pushing WDZB, Weirdo Bloods, homie, slash Crenshaw Mafia Ties at that time, homie. And I remember his homeboy Headache Peoples stayed in our turf on Eucalyptus and had an apartment over there at that time, homie. And that's how I was able to have a personal bondage acquaintance with the homie. And at these times, dog, like I say, we was hustling, homie. So it was common for different homies to move inside of your turf and maybe buy work from another homeboy that had action to push it right there inside another person's set, homie. And so anyway, homie, we had Boys Market in our turf at the time. So the homie wasn't always, large in stature. I mean, he had size, but he wasn't, heavy like that, homie, because at these times, we stayed on hella walk patrol, hella foot patrol, and hella bang patrol. So we was all in physical good shape. It ain't like now, times didn't change. Our generation ain't really out there. So a lot of us took a lot of time to kick back and just enjoy life, homie, which ain't nothing wrong with that. So anyway, the homie in full function. The homie Big Y, he's in full function. So like I said, me and him, we wind up having a personal bond, acquaintance at times that we was able to bake it in the turf when other homies would be gone and it just be us right there. So this particular day, homie, it's me and Big Wad on the block, homie. So we go to Boys Market. That's now Ralph's on Sentinel and La Brea. And we go get cold alcohol, which is, drinking liquor. We get cold night trains and shit. And we get food from the deli, homie. So we bail back to Eucalyptus. So in our time of just talking this hood talk, I'm telling the homie started rapping, homie. He's slanging them beat off raps. Cause like I said, this early 90s, the homies is in formulation of the banging on wax thing, homie. So I think the homie singing one of them raps about, the homies is doing, talking about send that off to die, send that to Die, and everybody that's familiar with the Damu album, you know what song I'm talking about. When he say send them off to die. So when the same token of the homie chanting that, singing that, and singing different little raps, I'm saying, hey homie, it'd be real cool if this rip fool come through the turf that normally come through, because Big Y had like a little 38 or some 32 or 38. I'm like, homie, we out here bent. It'd be so gravy and good if the OG rip food come through that normally come through sometime in the turf, because it was a rip food that used to come through our turf every probably out the week. I used to see this fool probably 3 times out the week, homie, but he had a couple different chords, but he'd slide down that eucalyptus, and sometimes you really wouldn't know what chord he was into. You really caught him, but he'd get at the end of the corner sometime when he called some of us younger homies out there at that time. He'll come through and get to the corner, homie. He'll get to the corner of where we at, and he'll come up out the window and get his C up, or he'll come out his Cadillac roof and get his C up, homie. So I'm telling Big Wad in the midst, we talking this blood talk, and he's singing chanting some of these raps. I'm like, homie, if old boy come through, homie, we should give it to dude with that. I'm pointing, we should give it to dude with the thing or something, homie. Cause like I said, the real fool, he'd come through with his hand on this, like he had different chords, so he'd come through with his hand on the armrest of the passenger seat, homie. And like I said, when he get to these corners, sometimes he'll give it up on us and all that. So like I said, in the midst of the homies chanting these raps, in the midst of us getting bent, in the midst of us just talking this blood talk, what do you know, homie? Motherfucking rip dude come through on the block, homie. So as I'm seeing him, I'm telling OYG Big Wide, give me the thing. Let me try to run out here and draw down. I wasn't talking about just really just busting on this fool. I'm like, let me draw down on this fool and scare this fool, homie. You feel me? So as fool coming down the block, and we standing right in the building where Headache and them, we used to be at in Headache building, and our turf was at, it was like an open driveway. So as we kind of like standing right there, you got a clear view. And the homegirl in that building, the homegirl Lisa from Queen Street, Blood, she stayed in that same building too. She thinks she had the front spot, but she wasn't near at that time. So anyway, homie, as we seeing old boy, the G Rip fool come through, I'm telling the homie, give it to me, homie, let me run out there and draw down on this fool. So Big Y like, nah, I got it, homie. So as fool coming down the block, homie, Big Y come out there. So now we banged out at these times. I'm in burgundy chucks, khakis, white tee, and Big Y, I think he got on a brown khaki suit, either brown or tan, and a homie in chucks, homie. So after Rip fool coming down the street, I'm telling Big Y, like, let me get the thing. That's that fool. So fool kind of get to the corner, but like I said, he used to have his hand on his armrest. So I didn't never know he had a heat in his hand sometime like that until that day. So as he kind of get to the corner of eucalyptus and he about to turn, as we run out there and Big Y go to draw down, fool got his window down, so he come up off his armrest and draw down and bust 2 shots out his car at us, homie. Bow, bow, homie. And so as Big Y like trying to kind of stumble back, he get the homie Big Y give off like 3 shots back on eucalyptus. Baka, baka, baka. The fool hit the corner, he smashed down the hill. We don't chase the fool, we retract back into Headache spot and pass the strap. But that's just kind of how it was back in the days, because it kind of, the neighbors knew us, and the neighbors at that time are kind of like, bang for that community. They might have not been all out there, but people knew where they stayed. If I stay in the blood hood, these dudes might help me with groceries, make sure my people's cool when they pull up. So they kind of looked at any time the homies got off over there, it was self-defense for us, homie. So anyway, homie, to dig into another story, how the homie got its solidification inside our turf. And the homies always, certain homies, and most of all my homies really, but the ones that was around, the reason why we really had extra love for Big Wide, because the homie was a down homie. And like I said, he'd get cracking like that. And nigga stand up to what he got to stand up to. So I remember one time, I'm not going to go into names and all that, but I'm going to go into this story, homie. And at this time, homie, we had hand guys, like the mail, the postman talk about hand guys, homie. So outside of Dulo, homie, from my hood, we had a other homeboy, legendary homeboy, and he was our hand guy at that time, soldiered out homie, straight beast homie. And I remember one day we on the block, dog. Me, Big Wide, few weirdo bloods, few homeboys. And I go make a hit. But it was said that one of our hand guys came through tripping. Just, this the turf. Blood was had and blood, this, that. And was like, if nobody don't like how I'm pressing, you can, feel free to approach me and step about it, homie. So doing our hand guide, G checking everybody, you know what I'm saying? Seeing who one piece of the action. If niggas don't like how the homie dialoguing, which is our hand guy at that one, our hand guys at that time, and he calling people out or whatever, it was said, homie, that Big Wide, when it got to him, like, what you want to do, that Big Wide didn't turn nothing down against one of our major hand guys, homie. And like I said, I wasn't there, but the word was Big Wide stood up, threw his hands up and got in position and tried to give it all he could against one of our hand guys. And even though the homie wasn't as successful, because this was one of our hand guys, we always respected the shit out of Big Wide. Because even though we be down and we be soldiers, we can't whoop some of these hand guys. But that don't take nothing away from your soldierism, your character and status. Because these hand guys recognize the dudes that had the heart to stand up to them, whether these dudes could win. But these hand guys, they got dudes that they respect as well for trying to stay down and be a challenge on me. So our hand guy always respected Big Wide after that, along with us and the homies that was there that time and knew that situation that happened around that time, homie. So our turf always had love for Big Wide on the grounds of what I just told the story of. The homie getting cracking and the homie stand down when he was approached about being with the business, homie. So 89 on up, homie. G stuff, not ye stuff. And I'm just sending the deep down hood trench story on the legendary homeboy. Not only was the homie solidified in the music, the homie was really solidified on the streets, that we really walked and we really pushed, doing the things we really believe that we thought was hell of a at that time, homie. So once again, homie, BIP to a legendary homeboy, OYGG, Big Y. And once again, too, 89 on up, G stuff, not ye stuff. And I'm just sending it, homie. I'm out.